حتى يتحاصروا.
After an American oil tanker was hit by an Iranian missile and burst into flames in the Persian Gulf, the entire situation exploded into chaos within seconds, turning a tense standoff into a full-scale military response that looked like the start of a much bigger war. And what happened next shocked everyone watching. U.S. aircraft carriers already operating in the region instantly switched to maximum combat alert, sirens echoing across the decks as sailors and Marines rushed into action, grabbing weapons, securing gear, and taking positions as if they had trained for this exact moment 1,000 times, because in reality they had. Within moments, the calm sea turned into a launch zone as escort warships activated their powerful vertical launch systems, heavy metal hatches opening one after another in perfect sequence. And then suddenly, fire. Tomahawk cruise missiles blasted into the sky, roaring off the decks with incredible force, leaving bright trails behind them as they curved toward distant targets, disappearing over the horizon in seconds, signaling that the United States had officially begun a direct and aggressive response. At the same time, across the massive carrier decks, controlled chaos took over as weapons lockers were thrown open, ammunition boxes dragged out, and soldiers moved fast but with discipline, each one knowing exactly where to go. Snipers climbed to high on the ship, setting up rifles and scanning the open sea, while below them, Marines gathered in tight groups for quick emergency briefings that lasted only minutes, but carried life or death importance, covering mission targets, transport, plans, landing zones, and what to do the moment boots hit the ground in the Middle East. Along the edges of the ship, machine gun crews work fast, loading long belts of ammunition into heavy weapons mounted on rails, pulling charging handles back with force, locking everything into place, and turning each position into a ready-to-fire defense point capable of stopping drones, small boats, or anything that came too close. Nearby, soldiers carrying shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missile systems rushed to higher decks, taking positions with clear views of the sky, their launchers ready, eyes locked on the horizon as binoculars moved left to right again and again, tracking even the smallest movement in the distance. Then came the test fire. Short, controlled bursts from the machine guns echoed across the water, loud and sharp, brass casings hitting the deck as each weapon was checked and confirmed ready. And within minutes, every gun, every missile system, and every defensive position across the entire strike group was fully active, forming a powerful shield around the fleet. But that was only half of it. Below the flight deck, another intense operation was happening at the same time as mechanics and crew members worked non-stop preparing fighter jets for immediate combat, attaching missiles to wings, filling fuel tanks to maximum levels, running system checks on engines, electronics, and controls, making sure nothing would fail once those jets left the deck. Then, the launches began. First, an AV-8B Harrier II rolled forward, its engine screaming as it gained speed, lifting off and quickly turning into forward flight, climbing fast into the sky. Right behind it, F/A-18 Super Hornets lined up one after another, each locking into the catapult system. Engines pushed to full power before being launched violently off the deck, disappearing into the sky within seconds as they raced toward their assigned targets. These were not routine flights. Each pilot had 3 clear and critical missions: destroy any incoming missiles that could threaten the fleet, control the skies to make sure transport aircraft could move safely, and strike enemy positions like radar systems, missile launch sites, and command centers that could attack coalition forces. While all of this was happening in the air, another major movement was happening on the deck as Marines began boarding V-22 Osprey aircraft in fast-moving lines, climbing up rear ramps with full combat gear, taking seats, locking in, and preparing for takeoff. The engines roared to life, massive rotors spinning faster and faster until one by one the Ospreys lifted straight up into the air, then tilted forward and shot ahead at high speed, heading directly toward dangerous zones where they would deploy troops. At the same time, transport helicopters loaded with more Marines lifted off, following the same route, carrying soldiers, weapons, and supplies into the conflict zone. Back on the carrier, there was no pause, no slowing down, as every system stayed active, every weapon rechecked, every radar scanning constantly for threats. Attack helicopters were armed and ready, door gunners locked behind their weapons, prepared to fly escort missions alongside the transport aircraft, ready to shoot down any drone or threat that appeared in their path. The entire strike group had now reached peak combat readiness. Every ship, every weapon, every aircraft working together in perfect coordination, creating a powerful and dangerous force moving through the region. What made this moment even more intense was how fast everything happened. Just minutes earlier, it was a single missile strike on a tanker, but now it had turned into a massive military operation involving air, sea, and ground forces all moving at once, each step increasing the risk of a larger conflict. There was no room for mistakes, no time to think twice, as decisions were being made in seconds that could change everything. The sky was filled with jets, the sea filled with warships, and the tension was at its highest point as the world watched, knowing that this was not just a response. It was a warning, and possibly the beginning of something far bigger than anyone expected.